Russian submarines are currently launching missile attacks against Ukrainian territory, which has caused the conflict there to take a new and more dangerous turn. Many people are shocked to find that Ukraine lacks any effective submarine threats or defenses. This potential overkill may be what prompts Europe to step up its involvement in the conflict, but if it does, a number of very lethal NATO submarines might be called upon to inflict damage on Russia on a scale that has never been seen before. In today's video, we'll talk about these 3 NATO submarines that could totally wipe Russia out of the map in the span of 30 seconds. Let's get to the video. Before we get into that, however, we must first look into how and why submarines are currently even participating in the conflict. 4 months into it, this article largely focuses on the potent submarines of the NATO alliance. The B-871 Alrosa, the only Russian Kilo-class submarine with pump-jet propulsion, has returned to the water for operational testing after undergoing substantial repairs over the course of many months. Most likely to get ready for military strikes against Ukraine, the submarine is undergoing a series of tests that simulate numerous distinct operational modes for the first time in 8 years to show off its capabilities. The fact that Russia is still a big lover of submarines and believes in their capacity for ruthlessness makes this revelation particularly important. In fact, a number of studies carried out over the course of the past decade show that Russia's push toward high-tech armament is mostly focused on the modification of its submarines. This is because submarines are the most important part of Russia's fleet. The Alrosa submarine, which was discussed earlier, is one example of a modernized submarine. It currently has cutting-edge weaponry that weren't accessible when it was first constructed, weapons that could worry NATO. And there are many more Russian submarines to be concerned about than simply the Alrosa. In fact, there is an entire fleet of them. Russia is getting ready to go to war with about 20 Kilo-class submarines, some of which are tied to the Alrosa. The 230-foot-long class of submarines made their debut in 1980. And since then they have enjoyed such a successful career that Russia has kept them in service for more than 4 decades while upgrading them every 10 years to keep up with technological advancements. The Alrosa allows its users to go farther distances in a way that is noticeably less obvious since it can travel at higher speeds with less audible cavitation, and has advantages when operating in shallow water. The last thing any submariner wants is a noisemaker, which is probably why the Alrosa is being utilized and not one of its siblings given that it is in the middle of the ocean, has no real means of escape, and is a fairly easy target once discovered. This is probably the most significant benefit. What spurred its reactivation so long in advance of the turmoil currently raging in Ukraine is currently unknown. Given that the Ukraine has proven to be a more difficult foe than anyone could have predicted, it would seem that the demands of the battle played a role in the decision-making process. In light of the prospect of NATO's engagement, let's take a closer look at the submarine fleet that is currently at its disposal. Okay, but before we continue, we'd like to ask for a few moments of your time. If you want to support Weaponology, please leave a like and click on the subscribe button. This would help us create more engaging content for you. Now, moving back to where we left off. Off with number 1 submarine. The Astute-class submarine. Astute-class nuclear-powered submarines are the most recent generation produced by the United Kingdom. They were first launched in the 1980s. There will be a total of 7 substitutions in this class, with the final 2 slots still up in the air. The first of a new generation of British submarines that are 300 feet long and have a top speed of 30 knots while having a range that is literally endless was declared fully operational in 2014 thanks to its installation of a Rolls-Royce Power 2 nuclear reactor and multiple MTU 600 kilowatt diesel generators. The submarine has a team of Thales Sonar 2076 Atlas DSO 25 Echo sounders, 2 Thales CM010 optronic masts, and the Raytheon successor IFF for distinguishing friend from foe. If a significant threat is detected, the submarine is able to deal with the situation with its Tomahawk Block 4 cruise missiles thanks to these components. These dreadful American surface-to-surface long-range all-weather subsonic anti-ship cruise missiles can strike targets thousands of miles distant and can be equipped with either a conventional or nuclear payload. They are launched from submarines and cost $1.9 million. 4,000 pound wire-guided British torpedoes known as the Spearfish heavyweight torpedoes are used for warfare. They can kill objects that are more than 33 miles away thanks to their aluminized PBX explosive and autonomous active terminal homing sonar. The very effective crew of this submarine, which may number up to 109 individuals, is probably its most potent weapon. With the exception of brief dockings to restock food and supplies and get acquainted with the appearance of land in the event that the vessel sinks, these crew members keep the submarine functioning around the clock. That might be the result of spending so much time at sea. Each submarine in the Adroit class is a $2 billion dangerous weapon that should worry Russia. Number 2. The Submarine class submarine. The submarines in the Submarine class are completely unique in their design. In fact, It wasn't until June 3, 2022, nearly 3 months after Russia's invasion of the nation had started, that the first one was officially deemed completely operational. The Submarine has an optronic mast instead of a periscope, in contrast to earlier French submarines. The British Astute class of submarines served as the model for this design. First French submarine class to be able to deploy a small underwater vehicle for use by special forces is the Submarine class. This Submarine class has an attachable dry deck shelter that enables this capability. Despite rumors to the contrary, the massive 326-foot-long submarine has an unlimited range thanks to its 200-kilowatt K-15 nuclear reactor, two 13,000-horsepower turbogenerator groups, an electrically driven pump jet, and two 640-horsepower emergency diesel generators. The submarine is optimized for a small complement of 60 people thanks to extensive automation. The submarine has 20 FG-29 mine storage racks and 4 533mm launch tubes. With a combined range of 31 to 350 miles, Exocet SM-39 anti-ship missiles, F-21 Artemis heavy torpedoes, and MDCN Storm Shadow cruise missiles deliver extremely lethal fire from the ocean. Number 3. The Gotland-class submarines. Modern diesel-electric submarines of the Gotland class were created and constructed by the Swedish shipyard Kockums. They are a part of the Swedish Navy. They are the first submarines in the world to use an air-independent propulsion, AIP, system for its Stirling engines, extending their underwater endurance from a few days to weeks. Up until that point, only submarines fueled by nuclear energy possessed this capability. Sweden is not a NATO member, at least not at the moment. However, the nation only recently submitted an application to join because of worry that Russia would invade other close-by nations if it can attack one without opposition. In support of this, Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that although they did not feel endangered before joining NATO, this may change. Despite this, Sweden is still in the process of applying to join NATO, and if it does, its submarine fleet may potentially strengthen the alliance's defenses. The Stirling engine propulsion technology on the 200-foot-long diesel-electric Gotland-class submarines, which were previously exclusively seen on nuclear-powered submarines, extends underwater endurance from a few days to a week. The Stirling engine for the Gotland-class submarine was designed and built by Kockums Shipyard, a shipbuilding company in Sweden. It powers a 75-kilowatt generator that can be used for propulsion or battery recharge on board the ship. Ukraine requested NATO membership in order to take advantage of this security blanket. Ukraine is being treated in many respects like a member of NATO, despite the fact that the official paperwork has not yet been signed. What about you? What do you think? Should these submarines protect Ukraine or shall the countries in NATO prepare and protect just themselves? Or, do these submarines could really finish Russia? Let us know in the comments below. If you want more content related to this topic, make sure to check our channel. Take care and we'll see you in the next video.